Hello and welcome everyone to episode 30 of One Piece at a Time, the One Piece read-through podcast where we read and discuss 5 chapters of the One Piece manga each and every week. I'm your host, Derek Bittner, and I'm joined by my wonderful co-host and freelance letterer at Shonen Jump, Brandon Bovia. How you doing, Brandon?
Doing pretty good. As y'all know, I work on Dragon Ball Super and Kaiju number 8 and literally a billion other manga. always ready to spend time talking about this one in particular.
Yeah, this is a good one. Our Oda is almost back with new chapters, meaning we're gonna our little catch-up time is gone.
Yeah, hey, we closed the gap by 20 chapters. When you think about it that way, that's pretty awesome.
That is pretty wild. And for every week he puts out one chapter, and we cover 4 extras. So it's
yeah, exactly. We're coming for him. Yeah, and he doesn't even the manga takes 3 weeks on, 1 week off usually.
Oh, okay. I mean, it makes
so that
sense.
He doesn't burn out.
How much there is.
Yeah. So really, we are closing the gap quicker than you might think.
It'll be weird when we actually catch up, but that's still a ways to go yet. Because yes, happy episode 30 as we're at 150 chapters now.
That's wild.
Crazy to think about.
I never thought I'd get this far into a podcast project. 150 chapters is longer than most manga.
Yeah, that's actually pretty true. It's weird to think about it in that way, but yeah, you're right. So
yeah,
we're in it to win it, I guess you could say at this point. And speaking of winning
it, yeah.
Chapter 146, Battle to Defend the Kingdom. As I love how Django's Dance Paradise has changed to Django's Dance Heaven. As
I didn't even notice that it had changed.
Yeah, he's Lord of the Dance. Everybody's
Lord
cheering.
Lord of the Dance. Full body's crying.
Full body's crying, and he's like, yes, this man is a worthy opponent, and holding up his smaller trophy. Even the announcer is crying. It's like everybody's happy. That was just
this is great. I'm loving this cover story now that the way things have gone, especially in this the batch of chapters for this week. It's great.
It's a better idea. Before it was just sort of dancing for a while, but to have this
we've gotten past the setup.
Yeah, it's good stuff. But yeah, last time in the actual chapter, we ended off with Wapol getting a nice big punch from Luffy.
That was, again, I just can't reiterate how satisfying that was to have that punch book ended by an episode of the podcast.
I know. It's so good, and it's just, they're all screaming, and meanwhile, it's, again, weird to see Correa with a shocked face. It's like, what's going on?
Right, yeah. She's actually been surprised by something.
I know. But yeah, they actually managed to save Wapol from being punched off the mountain, which, dang it.
Just grabbing him by his legs. It took me a second, just reading that panel for the first time. I'm like, oh wow, where did he go? And so it took a second for my eyes to land on, oh, he's hanging off the side, and his 2 goons are just trying to save him.
Mm-hmm. You're freaking out.
I love that grin from Luffy on the next page after he punches us. I don't have to hold back anymore.
Yeah.
He's just, all right.
I don't have to worry about wrecking my ship. So yeah, we can take care of this. And I think that ties into something we'll see very quickly here. Is that there is no tension between this fight between Luffy and Wapol.
Not really. I mean, it's kind of I feel like by the first encounter we had at the beginning of the arc, you already knew that these guys were kind of pushovers.
Yeah.
But I think there is value, at least in the kind of story that gets told through them, even if Luffy's just going to completely style on them.
Yes.
Which is satisfying because he's just a complete monster.
Yeah, we had those last 5 chapters Luffy's going to win this, but here's a good reason to just cheer for it anyway, because
exactly.
He deserves it. And there is some fun things. I feel like because the outcome, Oda's like, I'm just going to go wild with this because this is some of the weirdest stuff.
It really is.
We'll One Piece so far.
Oh, yeah.
And Luffy's just like, there's like, how dare you punch the king? He's like, king, who cares? You guys just stink. He's like, they're just a bunch of annoying pirates, but I'll fix him.
Oh, yeah. Luffy taking a second to realize that it was like, wait, he's a king? So they're not pirates? What?
And hey, it's cold.
Of course, yep.
Apparently it's 50 below, which, dang,
I don't know if that's Celsius or Fahrenheit, but yeesh.
That's oosh. But yeah, Wapol's not so happy, and he's actually running up to him, I guess. It's so weird. And You have this, again, idea of a joke villain because, like, hey, can you just hold on a minute? He went to get some warmer clothes.
Yeah, I was like, all right, Luffy's. That's such an interesting idea because we've seen the various ways in which characters like Luffy and Zoro get kind of incapacitated and they have to sort of solve the problem to get back into the fight. But no, this time he just left.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. He's just like, oh, hey, I need to get warmer clothes. It's just. It's such a joke throughout the entire time, but there there is good stuff. There's stuff with Chopper here, where it's like that boy can stretch, right? And it's like that's right, he's a rubber man. Basically, he's a monster.
Yeah, I like that he sort of took note of that.
Yeah, it's a nice.
He's just like me.
Yeah, exactly. You know exactly what Chopper's thinking at that point.
Mm-hmm.
While that's all going on, of course, this trio is plotting. It's like Dalton's dead. All that's left is that witch and the Straw Hat Gang. Once they're dead, nothing will stand in our way. And of course, like, oh, let us take care of this. You know, this is not worthy of your hands. Korea's like, I don't have any interest in this, but hey, Chopper here. He wanted this to erect a memorial for Hero Luke. And that's when Chopper transforms and reveals that, hey, he was the monster they saw back in when Hero Luke died.
Yep. And then him sort of stepping up to protect just like the pirate flag, as we'll see, which is kind of like, you know, it's the symbol, you know, like it's the symbolism for Hero Luke's ideals.
Yes, it's his legacy.
Yeah, and I feel like the way that's used as a symbol in the set of chapters is really cool.
Mm-hmm. I love how Sanji asks Korea, are you going to fight them too, old lady? And he gets conked on the head.
Yeah.
Just for calling her old. It's like, I suppose if you can't handle it. And Sanji does get a pretty cool moment where this Marimo uses his static cling to toss a afro hairball at Korea. And Sanji just stops it with his leg. It's like, hey, that's no way to treat a lady.
Yeah, well, he gets to act cool, and then he's, you know, the giant hairball gets stuck on his leg, and then you just have this whole scene of, you know, he throws more, and then him and Chopper are both like, it's stuck on us.
It's just completely ridiculous, and honestly, probably the most effective they look this entire time.
the most threatening that they've ever looked.
Yes,
Korea Marimo. Just all right, I'm throwing hair at you.
It makes you wonder, like, well, how are they going to get out of this one? Because it's just so silly. It's like, oh no, we can't get rid of this sticky thing. That's a problem. Mm-hmm. But we cut away from that just to show Luffy trying to find clothes, and I just love how casual it is between him and Nami.
Yeah, Nami's just like, whatever.
What's the ruckus? Oh, just a fight. Is it serious? Nah, go back to sleep.
Yeah,
you can wear my jacket.
It really has that kind of just like, you can tell that they're just kind of long time friends. You know, that they can just talk to each other like this. Like, don't worry about it.
Yeah. I love how he's like, you can wear my jacket, but it doesn't look cool.
Cool.
Yeah. She goes back to sleep and he heads out, which is just, it's just kind of a cute scene.
Yeah, it's a great dynamic, those two.
Mm-hmm. And then we see how Chess and Marimo kind of work together because, hey, he has flaming arrows and they're extremely flammable. It gets set on fire, but you know, there's snow around, so he immediately puts it out. So it doesn't even feel like that big of a problem.
Yeah.
Chopper goes in for the punch, but that's when, again, Wapol can be terrifying when it's just the mouth.
When you just see that giant mouth manifest behind you, it's like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Definitely some cool, quick thinking from Sanji, though, as Luffy kind of comes back into the fight now, dripped out in Nami's jacket.
Luffy grabs hold. He's like, doesn't quite understand it. He's like, all right, but don't let go. And then he just launches Luffy straight into Wapol's stomach, and Luffy even decides to add some spins.
Yeah, I love just like the wind up of this attack, just sort of seeing the build up of, like, you know, seeing Sanji call out his armée de l'air as he just the top panel and bottom panel of him kind of winding up and you know, shooting Luffy off.
Those extra detailed fingers from Luffy.
Yeah, it's very cool. Because as you see, like right before Luffy makes contact, you see his Chopper's like mostly devoured by Wapol before Luffy just kind of comes just like, I don't know, gives him like the spinning tackle. Yeah,
just variation on the fastball special, we'll say.
Yeah.
Also leading to one of the most ridiculous things. I mean, I say this is still pretty low on the list of ridiculous things that happen in these set of chapters, but Wapol gets launched into Robson, who then gets launched away instead. He like does a team rocket.
Yeah, it's just a little twink. Like, wow.
Sanji and Luffy are not kind to animals. Between this and the whole thing with Momu,
Yeah. Oh man, these two in particular, leaving these two alone is a bad idea.
Really is.
I do love first thing Sanji notices is like, hey, that's Nami's jacket.
Take it off.
Take it off.
And we ended off with Wapol declaring it's time for the Munch Munch factory.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Threatening.
All really right threatening. Then. Sure. Why not? But yeah, not too much to say about that chapter. It's just the beginning of the fight and warming things up, I guess you could say.
Yeah, that's just all action.
Yep. And then it's time for chapter 147, Frauds. Mm-hmm. And to me, this is an iconic bit of art for this one, just because it was used in the anime during one of the, I think it's the closing or opening credits.
I vaguely remember.
Yeah, they're all running around and Luffy loses the hat and they all try to chase after it. But
yeah, that's definitely a thing that happens mostly early on in the anime, but definitely it's something you still see later on, is that they'll sort of incorporate these color spreads into like shots of openings and endings, which I think is sort of a really cool nod.
Yeah, I like it. It's fun. It shows that camaraderie between the two, and it's a happy time. Just
whatever kind of anything can happen with the adventures with all these dorks.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And then actually, before returning to the fight, we begin this chapter by going to the doctors who declare that Dalton's still alive. He was just frozen. Leave him to us. Usopp declares them evil doctors, and they're like, no. And then nobody's like, we can't trust them because they work for the king. It's like, no, if you want to save him, do as we say, because we're still doctors and we were forced to do the king's bidding, but our medical research will benefit the entire kingdom. One quack doctor taught us to never give up hope. We should listen to fools like that more often.
It's just a small scene, so I don't know. I don't want to take too much issue with it. I like that Hiriluk's words and his actions like did kind of come through to the doctors, but like considering how many sort of just like awful things happened under their watch, it's kind of like a little too late, guys.
Yeah,
like that was 6 years where you guys just kind of like sat on your hands and did nothing,
and more, because it had to happen before that, because at the 6 years ago it was still only the 20 doctors plus Hiriluk and Kureha. So
yeah. So this was a scene that I think needed to happen, and it's good that it happened, but it I don't think it warms me up to the doctors the way that it might have intended.
No, not at all. It's just like, okay, I get it. You were afraid. It makes sense, but
yep.
I don't know.
Imagine being afraid of Wapol. Couldn't be me.
Yeah. I don't know. It feels a little not forced, but just convenient.
Yeah, a little convenient. And I think you can sort of tell, like, there wasn't a whole lot of time to really sort of go into the whole concept of the 20 doctors, so it is kind of something that's just kind of been in the background. So it's just it's sort of like, this is how I think it should resolve, but the way that we've gotten from point A to B, I'm like, oh, okay, like we're just moving on. We're just okay. We addressed it. That's it.
It's an excuse to save Dalton, I guess.
Yeah, basically.
Somehow.
Like, okay, he wasn't dead. Yes.
I mean, Wapol's head was somehow missing, and they saved him. So these guys are good.
Yeah.
But yeah, Wapol's standing up, and Luffy is impressed that he stood up after that big hit, but he's tough. It's like, all right, sure. And then he wants to know what he had for breakfast, and they go through. Chest goes through it. It's like
this list. You
had a cannon sautéed in butter, a fresh cannon, a bomb, and explosive salad. In the village, you had one grilled house. Apparently, the things he eat eventually become his flesh and blood. And he uses something called Munch Munch mutation to become the Wapol house. And what the hell?
Just him seeing sort of Kuromarimo off to the side, just like, yeah, cheering him on. is real goofy. It just, yeah, man, this not Oda knows that this is a very goofy, very ridiculous villain, and he's just gonna get weird with it.
Yeah, 2 cannon hands, a entire house for his chest, chimney coming out as the top.
And that's not even the weirdest part, as we're about to see.
No, it really isn't, because he decides to immediately eat Chess and Marimo.
Yep.
And the way he does it is so cow-like and weird.
Yeah, there's just the sort of just the crunch sound effects.
Yeah.
Good God.
And he's somehow able to use his body to fuse them together to create Chess Marimo. And it's just them sort of grafted on top of each other.
So the weird thing for me is that, so they are just riding piggyback, but I do like that the the lettering here, and I imagine it was like this in Japanese too, where it's sort of like layered on top of itself to imply that they're kind of like speaking in unison.
Yeah. This is no Vegito or Gogeta.
Well, yeah, so I'm wondering, like, how much of a fusion is this actually, or are they just writing piggyback and are able to talk at the same time?
Well, I don't see Marimo's legs, so I don't know where those are at. But there's also these like almost like steel-like suspenders that sort of graft him on there.
That's horrifying. You know what? The more I think about it, the
it is a weird design.
This whole sequence is just complete bonkers.
And first thing Wapol does is fire his cannon at Hiruluk's flag. Mm-hmm. He's like, it ruins the whole look. Okay. Yeah. But back to the village, and Vivi's worried. He's like, okay, we have to go help them. I'm worried about the avalanche. We saw Wapol will go up there. You know, they might all be in danger. I think it's weird because they have the next panel saying, yeah, and then there's Dalton and Alabasta. That seems to be saying something, seems to be coming from Usopp, but then it has him saying, calm down, Vivi, you worry too much. So I feel like that was meant to be from her.
Yeah, I've actually seen mistakes like that happen in the art before, where sort of the word balloons kind of get misattributed to the wrong character. So that's definitely something that could happen. Mm-hmm.
I also like how Usopp genuinely looks cool here. Is like Luffy and Sanji with Nami. I'm sure they're just fine. She's in good hands. I have faith in them. And it's like that calms the Vivi down. Zoro immediately cuts through. You're just afraid.
It was a cool speech, but his legs are shaking.
He ruined the moment. But hey, Dalton's awake, all patched up. The villagers saying, "Don't get up, it's too much." It's like, no, this is our one chance to be free. We must fight him now or live as slaves. I was like, I'm gonna fight whatever the cost, even if I have to become a villain myself.
Yeah, I think the one thing I thought about Usopp that I think I had kind of forgotten about this moment, but Usopp really is the kind of character who's like, he gets very enthralled by heroism and heroics. So seeing sort of like Dalton's willingness to fight, he's just sort of like, you know, like he's ready. All right, I'm going to carry you on my back to the castle. And you know, into the moment, you're just like, wow, okay.
Yeah,
Usopp's
it's like,
trying to do something cool.
Good on you, Usopp. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
it definitely feels in line with his character after seeing the Giants.
Yeah. It definitely seems like some development since that.
Yeah, exactly.
It mattered, those Giant section. But after that short little snippet, of course, Wapol's laughing as the flag collapses. Chopper is, of course, horrified at it. Luffy's just like, the pirate flag, and he can just see the look on Chopper's face.
Yep.
And this just immediately sets Chopper off. He runs through the legs of Marimo and goes after Wapol, like climbs on his body.
Yep.
And is about to punch him.
I do love that you're sort of seeing his transformation in action, where he's just kind of zipping from one form to the next. Yeah. To kind of dip and dodge around everybody.
Yeah, it shows that he has his own kind of strength. Which is pretty cool. And as of course he's about to punch Wapol, he's like, "Don't blame humans. This country is sick right now." I was like, "This man isn't worth saving, but all right, I won't hurt you, but leave this country forever."
That hesitation.
You can't reason with him. And again, that smug face from Wapol, he just shoots his cannon at Chopper, blows him down.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, Luffy climbed the castle and uses a sleeve from Nami's coat to tie it back in place.
Oh, that's what he did. Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
That's how it got ripped.
I'm big fan of this scene.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
This is the money shot of this arc.
Luffy doesn't understand anything, but he intuits what's important, and he understands the importance of pirates and what they can mean. He hates people who aren't true pirates, like they pretend to be, or not, or not impassioned by it.
You're not willing to risk your lives.
Yes. It's enough to you can see him definitely starting to appeal to Chopper now.
Yeah, yeah. There's definitely it's sort of cool, kind of seeing it over the past couple of chapters of sort of Chopper sort of kind of learning more and more about like what Luffy's all about. And so the way in which we sort of get from point A to point B, I think is really natural for these characters.
It is, yeah. It works. Otherwise, that's the end of the chapter. Again, great ending to that. There's good stuff around here, but we'll get into our issues, I think, pretty soon. Nothing really to say about the SBS as far as I can tell. One thing seems to be in terms of a future character that I don't want to get into. So we'll just leave it at that.
We'll leave it. Yeah, I have regrets for that when we get to it.
Yeah. But so that just brings us to chapter 148, Unbreakable, where we're back with Django and everybody's having a party, celebrating with full body as the beer is flowing and everybody's having a good time. It's nice.
Yeah.
But it's time to go back to Usopp as he's in the process of carrying Dalton to the castle.
Yep.
And
well, I definitely you open the chapter opens and you get that cool panel of Usopp going, "Don't worry, I'll carry you to the castle." And there's Usopp, and then just by the bottom of the panel, he's just struggling to carry Dalton. He's just like, "It won't work." Yes, it will. Dalton's
a huge guy, and Usopp, definitely doesn't have it. And he has a good speech. It's like, I can't let such heroism be wasted. And so it's like, fine. And he grabs hold of Dalton, and he's kicking. Usopp's kicking Zoro. He's like, "You're ruining my moment. How could you?"
See, he's trying though, which I think is it is just a funny gag, but I do think it is actually kind of important for Usopp as a character to have those moments.
It is, because
trying to rise to the occasion.
Yeah, they don't make fun of him for it. Zoro's like, "Yeah, I know." And,
yeah.
And I just that look from Vivi. It's a good look.
Yeah.
But if all the villagers need is 30 minutes and they can fix one of the ropeways to the castle to make the trip faster. But there is one, because thanks to a white rope that from a giant tree outside Gyasta to the castle, which is where the Korea was going to. So, And of course, Wapol is immediately like, "There's no meaning in a pirate flag. It's just a stupid rag." Yeah. And Luffy's like, "Nope, you don't fly on a whim. This means more." And of course, Wapol tries to shoot at it more. And to Luffy, and this is important, I think, for him, that's just, again, getting a better idea of just how he views pirates. Because the skull and crossbones is a symbol of faith. And Wapol's all convinced that he blew up Luffy.
Nope. Or blew up the flag, and Luffy.
Yeah,
but
he might be
Luffy's
charged.
Taking every hit, but the flag
is in tatters. But honestly, a tattered flag can look pretty awesome at times.
Yeah.
And he's like, "See, it's unbreakable." And boy, you want to talk about inspiring Chopper?
Yeah,
like that's how you do it.
What a cool, still definitely, like I said, the money shot for this arc.
Mm-hmm. And again, just Luffy cutting to the heart of the matter, as I don't know who it belonged to, but this flag is a promise of life. You don't fly it lightly.
Yep.
He's like, this is something not to be laughed at or shot at. And he screams it so hard, it actually shocks them.
Yeah.
Like they shake from it.
Yeah. It's so cool. Like, I love these moments of Luffy sort of like just kind of slamming his foot down and declaring his morals to the bad guys. As I always think back to that moment in the first chapter talking to Shanks where, he's just like, "You guys aren't pirates, you guys suck." But, he sort of kind of, he understands what it means to be a pirate, and like... It's
solidified thanks to his interactions with Shanks. He had an idea of what a pirate was, and then Shanks was like, "No, kind of more like this." And that's that ideal.
Yeah. I definitely love moments like this where...
Oh, yeah.
He's just like, you don't understand anything.
Nope. And God, going from that just pure anger at Wapol to talking to Chopper saying, "Hey, I'm gonna clobber these guys. What are you gonna do?" That finally inspires Chopper, I think, to actually take part. And Sanji's ready to fight too. And Korea's like, "Yeah, I like your spirit, but it's too soon to do anything." And she uses a move called Dr. Stop.
Dr. Stop. I was like, "Oh, that's an attack name."
Yeah.
She just steps on him.
Yep, bashes him down. It hurts his back so he won't move.
Yeah.
Just to show how much it is, how far gone he is.
Yeah.
And poor Sanji, he hasn't had a moment to really be cool in a while. I honestly forgot that he did not take part in this fight. I thought he got one of those. I forgot completely about the fusion, because I was like, oh, he missed out on a fight in Little Garden, so he must get he gets his comeuppance here. He gets his chance to really show off.
Nope.
And I gotta say, outside of the Arlong fight, he hasn't really had a chance to show off since
because I was gonna say Whiskey Peak. He's kind of been not doing a whole lot there either.
Yeah, like he
gets his moments. We'll get there, and I definitely
I speak from experience. He does get his moments, but it's weird going back through here and realizing
he's been getting kind of crapped on for a while.
Yeah, he is super strong. He is arguably the third strongest on of the crew, maybe second. He does seem to be up there with Zoro at the very least. But he just doesn't get those cool moments like Zoro does, which is very odd.
Yeah. But at the same time, I think it's really important that like Chopper handles this himself.
Yes, it is very important. When they got that fusion, they down to 2. That is a key moment. And of course, it's time for him to take on Marimo. And Luffy's just like, all right, get him, reindeer. Plants the flag and decides to just watch. It's like, all right, it's like, let's see how it's going. So it's got this Chopper's time to step up. It's just like, hey, you're lonely. You've been despised your entire life. Why risk your life? What a laugh. And it's like, hey, I might not have any friends, but I can fight. And as long as the doctor's up, flag is up, and then Luffy interrupts him. It's like, hey, you have a friend. I'm your friend.
Yeah. It just comes zooming back down.
Yep. Crashes in. And Luffy's just like, hey, can you finish him off? Good. All right, we got our standoff. We got Luffy versus Wapol and Chopper down to it. That faith between the two. That little bonding moment.
Yes.
It's so great. And poor Sanji wanting to fight. But again, this faith from Korea is like, hey, he'll be fine. When the time comes, my reindeer will act.
She's like a proud mom.
I know. He has 2 doctor parents. It's so good. It's an inspiring moment. There is good stuff in here. My name is Tony Chopper. That name was given to me by the world's greatest doctor. He might have forgiven you for mocking him, but I won't.
Oh,
and
man.
Brings out something called the Rumble Ball.
It's so rare, especially nowadays, to sort of like see Chopper in action like this. So it's kind of really satisfying to see him get like like his first 1v1 fight, and getting to see what he can really do, as we'll see in the next chapter.
Yeah, I do remember a good portion of Chopper's fights. Mm-hmm. He's not the strongest on of the group. But he's a solid mid-tier.
He's certainly capable, yes. And I think even now, in the current parts of the story, he definitely does get his moments to shine. Mm-hmm. But it is sort of seeing him kind of like split off into a 1v1, and sort of like giving his own like friendship speech, being like, I won't. He might have forgiven you, but I won't. Like, those are kind of lines I feel like you don't really see these days. So it's just kind of cool.
And if it feels like we're spoiling that Chopper joins, if you're
sorry.
I don't think it is, because Luffy's declared intent to have them join. Look, you with the backstory, with Luffy saying he wants him on his team, with Luffy chasing after him, how like I immediately knew as soon as this arc began back when I first watched. It's like, if
Luffy yells at you that you're his friend, you're on the group. I don't make the rules.
Oh yeah. That is absolutely the case. Otherwise, again, not too much in the SBS, although a reader did do some research and found out that Nefeltari, for Vivi's last name, is most beautiful one or most exalted one. I love how Uda just like, oh, is that what it means? Acting like he doesn't actually know. It's like, oh, no, I just flipped through a book on Egypt and picked words that sounded interesting.
I feel like he knew. I have a hard time believing that he's just like, oops.
Yeah.
There's this other SBS that I don't think is really, it's not a huge thing, but I like the clarification that Momu is not a Sea King.
Yeah, he is smaller than the Sea Kings we saw.
Yeah,
he's a sea monster.
I just realized the manga translation calls them Neptunians, but they slipped up here.
Oh yeah, I forgot about
the
that.
literal translation. So yeah, he's not a sea king or a Neptunian, but so he's just a sea monster.
And now to chapter 149, Rumble.
I laughed so hard at this cover story.
Oh, I did too. It's like, it felt like things were wrapping up, and then it's just all of a sudden like, oh, hey, real plot kicked in. Mm-hmm. Django's not out of the woods yet because his clothes have been discovered, and it's just like, oh, so that's who these Marines belong to. They're actually with Full Body. I don't know why I didn't realize that until now, but.
Yeah, and I love the Full Body holding the sunglasses and just seeing Django spouting out beer, just like.
Oh, it's so funny.
Yeah, you got that one Marine reacting in the background, like, oh, what's up with that guy?
Yeah, I know. It's like, oh, that's weird. But it's time to learn what the Rumble Ball actually does. According to Chopper, it lasts 3 minutes, and that's all the time they have left, which...
This is a classic, like, shonen manga chapter, where it just opens and is like, I'm going to beat you in 3 minutes.
And then, I mean, you've read it. He does.
Yeah. Shot chaser.
Yep. And you get this ridiculous pose by Chess Marimo with dual-wielding bows and flaming arrows.
Yeah, like, okay.
Sure.
I mean, I guess he's got 4 arms, but, all right.
Yeah, why? We don't even see the forearms.
Yeah.
Actually, we do see the forearms, actually. Mm-hmm. God, their body makes no sense to me.
I might have to check this out in the anime, because, just looking at this, I can't parse it. My brain, it just doesn't work.
2 legs, 4 arms. It's weird.
Yeah. I love just Correa sitting on Sanji, just like, we'll see something interesting. He's just like, let me fight. And, Chess Marimo shoots the snow melting arrow. Chopper dodges it by going into a limb boost, which seems to be more in his reindeer form. And it's like, whatever, you transform, and you've eaten the devil fruit, whatever. You're just a half piece like Dalton. You're a reindeer man. And he's like, no, I'm a man reindeer. It's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
Yeah. As we'll see, I wonder how confusing like this whole sequence might be to new readers, because we're kind of like sort of getting confirmation on a bunch of information I think could be inferred by this point, but like they're sort of explaining a lot about how the devil fruits work while also explaining how Chopper is kind of breaking the rules.
Yeah, because I guess in Chopper's case, his reindeer form is called limb boost. His human form is weight boost. And then, of course, they break it down. We got those forms, which we did talk about last time, about how they can sort of infer. But then, it's like there's only 3 forms for a Zoan type. And that's when Chopper brings out the jumping boost, which allows him to just leap over the hammers. And I love Sanji being like, that's more like flying.
Yeah. He definitely, a little hard to tell, but he looks pretty high up in the air.
Yeah, and honestly, that's a cool form.
It is, yeah.
That's pretty badass. And then he goes into guard boost, which just fluffs him up.
Yeah, which apparently takes the hit from that hammer.
Yeah, handles it pretty well.
And then just kind of boings off.
He's so fluffy. He reminds me of a Karibo.
Yeah, he does.
And he's just like, no, Zoans are limited to 3 transformations. How can you? Yeah. It's like, no. The Rumble Ball is a medicine that can modify the transformation powers of the devil fruit. After 5 years of research, I discovered 4 more transformations.
Yep.
And okay, that's cool to come up with an idea of like, here's the limitations. Here's a medicine that actually goes beyond it. And
we still don't know that much about devil fruits at this point in the story. Really, even now, we don't know that much. But so it's kind of an interesting concept that like the powers that you gain from a devil fruit can actually be like modified through drugs.
Yeah. And if anybody can do it, I can totally believe it's Correa.
Yeah, for sure. I think at least that we're at the point where if this is possible, then some of the, just like completely bonkers, crazy doctors like Correa and Chopper could do it. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, Luffy is just completely enthralled.
Yes, that's all he cares about. It's just like 7 stages. What a cool reindeer. And Sanji's like, yeah, the idea of 7 transformations was too much. He's delirious.
Yeah.
Even Wapol calls out, are we going to fight or not? And next up, we get Arm Boost, which, hello, Popeye.
Yeah, he's just buffed out reindeer. But man, seeing that panel of just Chopper just kind of, or just is he punching the hammer?
Karate chopping through. Yeah, he punches the hammers apart.
Yeah, that's just a really cool panel.
Yeah, and it's like my iron hooves can destroy boulders.
Yeah,
and that's when Chess Marimo brings out the Quattro Axe.
Yeah, and he actually manages to get some first blood off Chopper.
Yeah, cuts Chopper a little bit. Definitely cuts a big cut in the
big
break in the castle.
Yeah, I love those moments in shonen manga where like you get barely like nicked by something, and then you sort of see like the rest of the damage happen behind you. Like, oh, that's what would have happened if you hadn't dodged
or blocked or whatever.
Yeah. and speaking of dodging, I definitely like on the next page where Chess Marimo's got the multi-directional snow splitter, and you see Chopper dodging while also just like going through all of his different forms.
Yeah.
That's another thing that probably looks really cool in animation.
Oh, I'm sure. Just breaking it all down, finding ways to dodge it. That's when he goes into his final one as he's dodging all this. Brain Boost, which he stays the same, but puts like a crosshair scope with his hooves.
Yeah. I love Luffy. He's gonna do a death ray blast.
That's just childish.
Which is it's kind of not to sort of spoil a joke, but it does become kind of a running gag of Luffy kind of being like, oh, he's gonna shoot a laser beam.
I love it. It's like, what are you doing, staring me to death? You're not gonna find any weak points. And meanwhile, Wapol's like, no, that's the time. And Chopper realizes,
sneak off.
Aha, his chin. Jumps away, catches him off guard, gets on down below, and does a basically Shoryuken, but it's called Cloven Rose. Hits both of them in the chin at the same time, and they are out. And what a great way to finish it, just saying 3 minutes.
Yep. Just classic shonen goodness right there. The way to open the chapter and end the chapter.
Yes, it is a great fight for Chopper.
Yes. I don't feel like we see him sort of shuffle between all of his different forms like this in his fights, but it's something I miss. I could be completely wrong, but seeing him in action like this it feels like it's kind of an underutilized part of his ability set.
I know of his next fight, but I don't fully remember it. How it goes. Yeah. So I'll be curious to see how it compares to this.
What I'm trying to say is that I think this might be one of Chopper's best fights, which might sound like a backhanded compliment, and that isn't to say that his future fights are bad by any means, but there was definitely kind of like there's an interesting twist to this that I feel like I haven't seen in a while.
I think it also matters. This is the most personal.
Yeah, it's personal
for him.
Which, that's huge.
Yeah. So it I can see it being like that. So, yep. But yeah, that's the end of that chapter. And we get Oda breaking down the production process. But I don't think there's any reason to go through it. I think we all got the idea.
Yeah. Storyboards, meetings, draw it.
Yeah. Put in the extra stuff. All good. No big deal. But now it's time for chapter 150. Royal Drum Crown 7-Shot Tin Tyrant Cannon.
What a chapter title.
I can't believe I got that all out without any issues.
Yeah, wow, good job. It reminds me of this joke from Gintama, where basically they build something. They build like a snow sculpture called the Neon Armstrong Jet Armstrong Cannon, but it's basically just like a giant ice sculpture of a penis.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it just becomes a bit of a running joke. Anyway.
Nice. In terms of Django, the Marines are being sent out to find Django somewhere on this island. And meanwhile, Django's like, "You're a Marine? My good friend?"
The betrayal.
How could this be?
We danced together.
Yes. So honestly, I am kind of intrigued how the relationship between these two is going to continue.
Yeah, I have no idea where this is going to go, but it's kind of great.
It's funny that Full Buddy seems to be a better bro than a romantic partner.
Yeah, he was kind of a crappy date.
Yeah, he definitely
I hope he finds romance with Django.
We can only hope. I mean, I know Django's already got hearts in his eyes. Oh gosh. But yeah, fight's over, but Wapol is gone. He's gone inside the castle. And Luffy's upset, and Sanjay realizes, wait, Nami's in the castle. If he touches a hair on her head, he's only 100 pieces, and he's just crawling away.
Crawling. It's so funny.
And meanwhile, Wapol is just completely upset that his castle is completely frozen over. He's just ready to kill him. Whatever. We've seen this from him over and over again.
Yeah. I love this encounter that he has with Nami. Or, because she's at this point like, all right, I've been stuck in bed for 3 days. I got to get out of here. And so, they kind of lock eyes. And, he immediately is just like, oh, that's one of the Straw Hats. And then immediately Nami's just like, oh, I'm not a pirate. Just,
I'm just an innocent young girl, just a navigator who's passing through. He's like, really? Goodbye. And I love this little like climbing up I remember that scene. As soon as I saw this, I saw it play out in my head from the anime, because it is just that like almost sped up version of him just like running real quick to the pole, climbing up, and then running after her like he does, screaming out liar. It's a good moment.
It's pretty great.
But as she goes down the stairs, he gets stuck. He's like, I put on some weight lately. And get ready for the weirdest freaking thing. Like, I distinctly remember this, and it's still disturbing to see.
All about this.
The Munch Munch factory where he just eats himself, and you see his lower jaw go up over the rest of his head and devour his body.
I hate it.
And Nami just says he turned into a bucket. Then he comes out of the bottom of his mouth, thin and with a longer jaw. The Wapol slimmed down.
Just think about the SpongeBob meme. Oh no, he's hot.
Yeah. I don't even think he's hot. He's just thin. He's weird. Yeah. His face
it's a weird look. That twinkle in his eye on the next page.
Yeah, I know. Oh God. But yeah, he goes after him. Nami's just screaming out, "What a weirdo!"
Yeah.
But Luffy gets in there and puts in the stamp, just kicks him right off of Nami.
Just great.
It's like, hey, was he always that
Was he always that? Yeah, that's great. And Nami, of course, immediately notices, like, what did you do to my jacket?
Do you know how much that cost? 28,800 berries, and it was on sale. Sorry, but he threw bombs at me, and oh well, it's all right. I forgive you. I knew if I let it to you, just tear it up anyway. So you can pay me back 3 times the value plus interest.
I love that face on her on the next page. Just a little gremlin.
You planned this all along. And Luffy's just like, wow, he's really in shape. But it's time to just like, this is the part where it's like, man, I know there's not much left, and Wapol has just not been impressive in any of his fights. The only time he was a threat was when Luffy couldn't fight back, because they have this whole sequence. It's like, hey, here's the weapons room. It's, every size and shape are there. I'm going to eat them all and become a terrifying human weapon. And I have the key to the door, and it's gone.
And then I do, as kind of deflating as it is, and in hindsight, it would have been really cool to see him become a human weapon. But just, I love on the next page that sort of like 3 panel stare down, like just Luffy and Wapol look at each other. That face on Wapol where he's just like, whoop.
Yep.
And then he just books it.
Still claiming I'm not finished yet. It's one of those things where it's hilarious, but it also, I think that's what saves it. It is utterly ridiculous at this point. It is just humor. We're not here for a fight. We're here for the gags.
Yeah, surely.
But hey, we get Nami's thievery back, where she stole the key from him, and that's why he couldn't get in. She's like, oh darn, I thought it was a treasure. Naturally,
Nami, because she's been sick this whole arc, hasn't been able to do a whole lot. But it's a great piece where she's just like, oh okay, she's the one who was able to basically save them.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure Luffy could still handle it, but it's still something. Wapol makes it into another room and finds the ultimate weapon of the Drum Kingdom, which is the Royal Drum Crown 7-shot tin diamond cannon. Which
you messed up that time.
Yeah, I did. It's hard. It's hard. And it's big. It's huge. It looks like it's going to be like a Gatling gun and definitely be a problem.
Yeah, he's like winding it up.
He's like, all right, prepare to die, as Luffy comes through the room, and that's hilarious, if only because of the face. The
face is what makes it, and the utilization of the birds from when they first got to the castle.
Mm.
Yeah, where it's totally something. It's not out of nowhere.
No,
like it's sort of a great brick joke.
Yeah, I also love the side view where this cannon is a hippo, but it has like sunglasses on it.
Sunglasses. Yep. He seems to love his hippos.
Oh, yeah, he does. And yeah, it's not a great fight on itself. And he's like, Wapol's down to the point, it's like he's yelling at the bird.
The bird. He's like, I am your ruler.
And Luffy just grabs us like, I don't care if you're a king or not. There are things that
grabs him by the face. And that close up on the next page where he's like, I'm a pirate. It's just that's so great.
Yeah, and it's just like, okay, Wapol is done. The gags are over. Wapol is done. But more importantly, we get Chopper just being sweet. He called me his friend.
Oh,
that's adorable.
Ah, my heart.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, like I said, fight-wise, Chopper has a good one. But Luffy and Wapol is just the way you go. The only thing that really saves it is the gags. These are some really fantastic gags, but
it's very funny. It's a lot funnier than I remember. I definitely, I definitely remember him as kind of an underwhelming villain. That is something I alluded to at the start of the episode that I'd been reflecting on. Because I think Wapol is probably our first, like, truly just, like, the only thing that's really notable about him is that he's just, like, petty and pathetic. And he's a villain that you just love to hate because he's just horrible, right?
Right.
And it's like he's not threatening in that way, but like he just lives up how horrible he is. And I think that is sort of like a villain archetype that gets better as we go on in the story. We sort of get more. I can name a few off the top of my head that I won't get into, but it's sort of like that is an aspect of the series that I think does get better. Is that we get better villains who fit a similar kind of mold.
Yes. Wapol is absolutely just awful, as we've talked about multiple times. He has just enough power to make him a threat to most people. Yeah. And definitely a problem.
You definitely see it a lot in One Piece. I feel like Oda might believe that absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, it just comes down to the fact that Wapol... That's all he has. That's all it is to his character. He's very one-dimensional, petty. And I think I was trying to think, why is this arc so forgettable, despite having one of a fantastic backstory? And I think it really does come down to Wapol. Like, you have all these wonderful elements around him.
He's sort of at the center of it all.
Yes, and the villain is just not interesting enough.
Yeah, it's definitely not enough of a central hook, but it's like everything else around it is great. It's a lot better than I thought it was. But
yeah, and I think it's in a lot of ways it's similar to the Baratier and Don Krieg. It has that same sort of idea, except there's a lot more direct confrontation between Luffy and Wapol, and it's played definitely more for laughs than what it was with Don Krieg.
So wait, this arc and Baratier are probably about the same length, right? It was like 30-ish chapters. Yeah, because I was gonna say, like, as much as I don't like Wapol, I don't feel like he has overstayed his welcome as much as Don Krieg has. And I don't know why that is. It might just be because his power set is so just out there and bonkers.
Yes. I think it's that plus the fact that there's way more going on.
That is true. That is true.
Enemies out of nowhere and to kind of bring in other stuff. I don't know. This feels like a stronger take on that. As much as I do enjoy the Baratier, Don Krieg is a villain that's weaker, and I think Wapol is sort of in those.
And I think there are some arcs where having a weak villain kind of brings the whole ship down. Where it is sort of like maybe the missing piece, especially compared to other arcs. Baratier is like right before Arlong and stuff, right? And as we'll see here with Drum Island is sort of stuck next to much more a story arcs with much more compelling antagonists. I even think our encounter with Mr. 3 in Little Garden and that whole section of Baroque works was more interesting than what we've gotten from Wapol here.
Yes, because at least Mr. 3 felt connected to a greater whole. This is another sort of one-off. Like, he's only a smaller cog in the machine. This is your ultimate threat, and I think that's where it kind of comes in.
Yeah, because like with Mr. 3 and Baroque Works, it's kind of like we're working up, and we've already got that established with Whiskey Peak, because it's like we're sort of slowly working our way up the villain ladder, and then Wapol's just kind of like, he's kind of off to the side and a little lower.
Yeah, like
so it doesn't really
he's
feel like an
literally
escalation.
like a
as
side
much of
quest boss.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he is a side quest boss. He really feels that way.
Yeah. Again, still think that the arc overall is good. It's just Wapol is that weird thing where he's kind of what brings it all together and makes all these things happen. Mm-hmm. But he's so one note that it's only something, and he's not received enough of a punishment. It's just, again, he's still too much of a joke. I'm sure we'll get him truly taken down next time.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how this will all wrap up.
Yeah, because that is next time is the wrap up. We only have 4 chapters left of this
another
arc.
chapter down, or another arc down.
Yeah, we're so close. Then we're getting into the real meat of things. It feels like, because we have that Alabasta, the Eternal Pose. And
yeah.
So we know we're probably going there next, unless any other crazy things happen. But time to wrap up Drum Kingdom, see how Wapol gets fully taken down, and go from there. So with that, I believe we've said all we've wanted to say about chapters 146 to 150 of One Piece. Thank you so much for listening, and you can find more of my ramblings and stream VODs over at BitNerd Games on YouTube, or BitNerd with an underscore at the end on Twitter. Brandon, where can everyone find you at?
I'm at Brandon Bovia on Twitter, talking about anime, manga, games, and my job. I feel I haven't made this thread yet, so I'm hoping that I'll have made it by the time this episode goes live. But Kaiju number 8 volume 3 came out on previous Tuesday, and for all I think I've mentioned before, for all of like my bigger releases, I'd like to sort of make a thread breaking down just sort of like all the cool stuff. I think, just like, hey, here's all the stuff that I worked really hard on. So
definitely
be on the lookout for that, and go follow me on Twitter for it. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with that. Definitely do that. So if you'd like to help us out more, you can support the podcast over at patreon.com/Derek Bittner. That's DERRICKBITNER, to listen to the next episode 3 days early. And make sure to return next time as we discuss chapters 151 to 155 of One Piece. Until then, my friends, bye.
Remember to take life one piece at a time.
Where is he?
Where's who?
That guy.
That guy who?
That tin-plated bastard. He's not here.
Wapol! Where do you think he ran off to? He's going down!
What did they do to it? Drum Castle used to be a stately palace. Now it's a snow-covered hovel.
Dr. Rean.
Huh?
That guy. Did you hear him? He called me his friend.